Allie Wester, welcome to the Movie Media podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
That's fantastic. So you and I have known each other for how long?
I don't know.
We move
It's
in similar
been
circles, don't we? I've known
years.
of you for a long time.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it seems that the Lord wants to keep us in touch. And so thank you for accepting the invitation. Would you kick things off by introducing yourself? So when someone meets you in an elevator and like, hey, what's your name and what do you do?
Yeah. So, Allie Wester, I'm actually a wedding planner, and my mission is to keep couples happy and stress-free and have the most wonderful experience at their wedding ever.
What's your success rate?
As far as keeping the marriages,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. But ever since like Facebook, I can see, who's having kids, and I can see whose relationship status has changed.
I was going to say, because if that's your goal and every day and you're good at it, then you probably charge an awful lot for that service.
I wish. But it's funny because, and I'm sure we'll talk about my book, but I came across a groom a couple years ago, and and I am myself divorced,
Okay.
right? And so the groom says to me,
Put that out there up front.
yeah. And the groom says to me, now, how come you're a wedding planner and you're divorced? And I said, well, be glad I'm not a marriage counselor.
Better.
And he was like, oh yeah. And the bride was like, shut up,
So have you always done wedding planning? How did you get into it? Let's go all the way way
yeah.
back. Where'd you
Oh,
grow up?
gosh,
Where'd
yeah.
you grow up?
So, in Pennsylvania, Hazleton, Pennsylvania. It's in the
Okay.
Poconos.
Mm-hmm.
I moved to Baton Rouge when I was 23.
Is that because of the wedding?
No. Do you really want to know why I
I want to know
moved here?
exactly why you moved here, yes.
I came here with my first husband. He was going to Jimmy Swaggart Bible College.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over on Bluebonnet.
Yes. So we moved here for that. And then, unfortunately, the big ordeal
Oh,
that
yeah.
happened in, 86, 87, where Jimmy got caught. And I was furious
Wow.
because I moved my whole life down here, left my parents, left my family.
So you and your husband were involved in the church when all that happened and it had a big impact on you.
Yeah, that could be a book
Wow.
in itself.
I didn't know that about you.
Yes. I was the secretary of the youth department at the time,
Okay, so you were very involved.
very involved.
Ooh.
And it was a crazy time.
I mean, anytime someone that you put that much faith and belief in
Yes.
is shown to be less than what they profess to be, it shifts. It's like the Titanic. It's like the plates of your life being shifted, and you have to kind of rethink everything. I get that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then what happened was my husband at the time, he wanted to move back to Pennsylvania, and I didn't. So we kind of came to a impasse because I love this area.
What was it about then? So this was what, the late 80s?
It was like 87, 80, something like that, right?
That's when Swagger was huge.
Yeah, yes. And so we split, and I stayed here. And then I started working different places, and I started getting very interested in weddings. That's what it was. The youth pastor, which was Glenn Berto at the time, started a new church, Hosanna, which was off of Goodwood, and I was the church secretary.
Okay.
And I started doing ceremonies, coordinating
That makes a
ceremonies.
lot of sense then. Yeah,
And
natural
I
transition.
fell in love with it.
What was it about that sort of event planning for special ceremonies and then weddings that kind of lights you up? What did you enjoy?
I loved being a part of somebody's peak life experience, number one, because it was a very major shift in somebody's life, So I love that. I guess I'm a romantic at heart, so I love love. And it was beautiful because I was surrounded by happiness and flowers and beautiful things. And I was addicted.
So it was passion that drove you into it because, fast forward all these years and you're like one of the wedding planners, you are. I mean, everyone, there's like a little, very niche group that do it at the level you do. So let's talk about that. What kinds of weddings have you put on? What scope are we talking about? We say wedding plans. What do you do? What don't you do? What's the range?
Yeah, so we can do everything from A to Z. Like a bride would call me and she's like, I want you to do everything. We could definitely do that. And then I have like 3 packages. And the first one is like day of. If they just want initial help the day of and like little bit of planning if they want to do their own like footwork,
Yeah.
get all their vendors together. But I'm the one that expedites the day of. And I come to the rehearsal. I come the morning of the wedding, steam the wedding gown, steam the bridesmaids' dresses. I absorb all the questions from like the vendors, and then I have, of course, my team. And then they're placed, like one might be at the church, one might be at the reception. I'm with the bride, and I'm getting information all day long about loading in information about the band, or like the cake is late, or that type of stuff.
So you're buffer, coordinator, and general fire putter outer.
Yes, and I'm a scapegoat, a referee, and a diplomat.
All of those things. All of those things.
Yes.
What's the coolest wedding you've ever put on?
I get that question a lot. I think, and it was kind of like the beginning of my career. It was back in like 2000, and
In England we call those the noughties, by the way. It makes sense, right? The 80s, the 90s, and the noughties.
oh, I like that. I really like that. Okay, so it was like 2000. It was at Nottoway.
Yeah,
Now,
beautiful place.
Yeah, which unfortunately is no longer with us. But the bride was from New York City. So was the groom. They were attorneys, and all of their guests and relatives and family were coming from upstate New York and Romania,
Okay.
and they all flew into New Orleans, and we had them bust into Nottoway, and this bride was shipping me her wedding gown, like everything, and it was probably at the time my largest wedding budget-wise. Back then it was a $150,000 wedding.
Adjusted for inflation is like, a lot of money.
Yeah.
A bazillion dollars.
Right.
Very
And
good at math.
what was so cool was it was very New Orleans themed.
Okay.
Like
Was that the pull to come down here?
Yes.
Or did they have connection to Nottoway?
No connections whatsoever, but I do find that a lot of people from up north will come to our area to have weddings because New Orleans is considered one of the top wedding destination sites. So,
What is it? Is it the culture they're interested in,
It's
or
the culture.
the trees? Because they make great photographs, don't they?
Right. It's the culture, it's the beauty, and it's a great place for people to vacation. So they'll come down here for the wedding, but stay maybe for a week to hang out in New Orleans.
So you're
you
at
know?
Nottoway with a bunch of rich people putting on a huge wedding.
Yes. And
Sounds like fun
it
already.
was so much fun. And like every table was named because it was a full seated dinner, which is not real popular down here, by the way. A full seated dinner. Every table was named like their favorite place in New Orleans: Cafe Du Monde, Bourbon Street, Chapatoulas, all that.
Monopoly for weddings.
And it was just, and we handed out. She had the most beautiful customized beads that we passed out to all the guests. The band was, oh gosh, I can't remember the name of the band, but they're out of New Orleans. They're excellent 12-piece band, Bucktown All Stars. That's what it was. Fun band, and it was just a really great wedding, and everything went like no problems, no glitches. It was drama-free, and I just loved
It's
it.
an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, it was
Are they
beautiful.
still married?
They are.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
High five. Let's
Yes,
go.
yes. Not that I had anything to do with that, but like I said, I'm a good party planner.
Off to a good start is
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
provided. Off to a good start.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just have to ask. I'm sure you've been asked this 1,000 times too, but what is the how do I word this? No, whatever. What is the most shockingly offensive thing that the bride of a groom ever said to you that left you like, what the heck?
That the bride.
Yeah.
The bride.
I'm sure there's been several occasions where you're like, what?
But that's a great question.
Come on, there's a few coming to your mind. You're like, can't say that.
Well, I've actually been very fortunate. I've had some excellent clients. I'm trying to think. Well, I could tell you about one bride.
Go ahead.
That it wasn't towards me, but it was towards the florist, and I almost fell out. It was this crazy wedding, and it was during COVID, and the bride was a little
intoxicated.
No, not yet, but she was very unfortunately entitled, and she had a very bossy demeanor. And so when the florist, which was a very good friend of mine too, she came up and presented the bride with her bouquet, the bride said, "Get that effing out of my face."
Very rude.
And she goes, those are not white roses. And the florist stepped back, and I stepped back because she was like aggressive. And the florist was like, but these, honey, these are white. She goes, get that out of my face right now. And I'm thinking to myself, unfortunately, she was expecting them to be bright white.
Bleached white.
But nature doesn't make bleach white roses. They're a little softer white. But in her brain, she was expecting bright white.
What's that little girl from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Veruca.
Veruca. She was a Veruca,
Yeah.
wasn't she?
Is that right?
I
Yeah.
guess so.
Yeah, I think so.
So you have a book, don't you?
Yes, yes.
Tell me the title of the book and what's it about.
So it's called Secret Confessions of a Wedding Planner.
I like that already.
Yes. And it's tips, advice, behind the scenes stuff that like real talk that some people wouldn't tell you to your face. And I wrote it and like a love letter to my brides because realistically, I can't coordinate every wedding. I can't plan every wedding. And my mission is to educate brides so that the day after the wedding, they're not going to wake up and go, you know what? I wish somebody would have told me XYZ.
Yeah, just do it once.
Exactly. You get one shot. And so the book is to guide them emotionally, mentally, and then educate them on everything that they could be prepared for.
That's so cool. And just the idea to do that just kind of came up one day. Like, how'd you go about writing a book?
You know how everybody says, I'm sure you've run into people that said, one day I'm going to write a book.
Yeah, I've met people like that. I'm not one of them. But...
Well, now I know why not everybody writes a book.
Okay.
Because it's a toll. It takes a toll.
Yeah.
But I've always thought, people would say, you should write down these funny stories, you should write a book. And then I started thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, I should. So I started keeping funny stories. And then came the vocal cord thing, and then I got serious because I was like, oh my gosh, what if my voice is taken away? So I got real serious. And in 2017, sat down, 2018, I hired a accountability coach to keep me accountable to the words that I wrote down, because that's the key. You've got all these ideas, but to sit down, shut off the world, and write.
Just do the
That's the discipline part. So then by, 2019, it was finished. And then we started into the self-publishing thing. And then in 2020, I launched it October 20th, 2020.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I have an accountability coach. It's called my wife.
Love it.
Not so sure if it's an accountability, but definitely she pushes me really hard.
She keeps you on track.
Yes, no doubt, indeed.
Yes.
That's so cool. So you just sat down and you finally got that book cranked out. You mentioned your voice. Why'd you mention your voice?
Yes. So in 2018, I had a weird ear infection, which was viral, a virus, and it attacked my vocal cord. And I couldn't speak at all. And it was really like a rough go. I thought, that's it. My career's over. I'm not gonna be able to communicate. I went to a doctor. He's like, yeah, your vocal cord's paralyzed. And he said it could come back. It might not come back. It could come back halfway. And then I had a procedure done and it did fix it a little bit. So, but that's my voice is raspy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I appreciate you sharing all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask the questions that I'm interested in.
Okay.
So, okay, let's go all the way back. And
Yes.
you don't have to answer any of this because,
Sure.
I mean, and if like what comes out is we just don't have to, we'll just cut it out. It doesn't really matter.
Sure.
So I want to go all the way back to Jimmy Swaggart.
Yes.
So are you a religious person now? How has
consider-
your relationship with faith changed from the time you were with Jimmy Swaggart to now, would you say? Let's have that conversation.
I consider myself spiritual, but I don't go to church anymore. Yeah.
Was that the consequence of that, or has that been the journey you've been on?
It was a definite consequence of that. Not trusting, I did try to go to different churches afterwards, and I just could never just get into that faith trust of the people situation, I guess.
So I've got a couple of friends that work. I won't say young girls that work around that operation even to this day.
Yeah.
And it's not a church I go to, and it's not. But so I'm an outsider, is my point, looking at that, and I've got my own thoughts and opinions, and I'm genuinely interested. So I've been to some churches with some friends that the pastor is a very large personality, like a, magnetic type.
Yeah,
And yeah,
charismatic.
there's the phrase, it's like, well, cult of personality and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Like, was that swagger in your opinion?
So I was in Swaggart's choir,
Okay.
and I'm an observer,
Yeah.
okay? And I observe people. I don't know why, but I do. And I would watch him, and I wasn't really impressed, like with the behind the scenes
It's like your
person.
husband was, you were following your husband here to, okay, that makes sense
Yes,
because he was in
yes,
this college, wasn't he?
he was.
So you were
And
watching as a spectator. That's
yes.
cool.
And I noticed a lot of times he wasn't kind. He was irritated a lot,
Hmm.
you know, and I would watch him. And what was weird was, I remember this so well. We were at a service, right? And the church is so big, right? Huge, lots of people. And I noticed like he wasn't giving us new teachings or new information. He was relying on the accolades of the dynamics of it. He would say a couple things like when he was supposed to be teaching, and then he would say, and abortion is wrong, and I don't care what anybody says about it. And everybody would stand up and start screaming and
It was a
applauding.
feedback loop.
Right. And I'm like, I'm not getting anything out of this. And I mentioned something to my husband at the time, and he's like, "Oh no, you're crazy. That's he's great. He's such a great teacher." And I'm like, "I don't think so."
Yeah. I've known people like that, and even, in all faiths. I mean, I meet
Right.
lots of people, and they're nice when they're being looked at, and they're not kind to
Right.
people privately. That's a terrible trait to have in people like
Right.
that. So,
Right.
yeah, I've seen that as well. I'm just interested at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said first husband. So
Yes.
how many times have you been married?
Twice.
Okay, you've been married twice, and your career is in wedding planning and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Honestly, like, what do you think about when you think about marriage? The union of man and woman. What do you think about that?
I think it's wonderful.
Hmm.
And I think it's not for everybody. I think, and I also think that people who find their person are very fortunate, very lucky. Like it almost makes me want to cry because I think it's a rare thing for somebody to find that person.
Mm.
Yeah, but I think it's wonderful, for sure. It's just not for me.
Why is it wonderful?
Because I think when you're sharing your life with somebody, it magnifies life. It magnifies the good, and it might magnify the bad too. But the experiences that you share are magnified. And I think like when you're joyful, you want to share that with somebody. When something happens that's great, you need to have somebody as a human person to share that with somebody. And to have somebody in your life that loves you and supports you and wants the best for you always, that's a rarity.
Yeah, there's nothing there I wouldn't disagree with. I
Yeah.
always like to find areas of disagreement because then I can prod at them.
Oh,
Now, we seem to be in alignment there.
okay.
I haven't written a book, so we don't have that in common.
Okay.
What do you do outside of work? Like when you're done with the weddings and stuff, what's your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing?
Well, okay, a couple things. I like to meditate. I'm a big manifester. I believe in law of attraction. So I listen to a lot of positive affirmations. I read a lot of books about that area. I love like Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield and Lewis Howes.
How long have you loved Tony Robbins for?
That has been since my dad passed, so I must have say about 2004. Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
we're talking like 22 years you've enjoyed it.
Yes.
Now I'm a big
Yes.
fan too.
Yeah.
When he pops up, I'll listen, but I
Yes.
don't follow. Do you follow?
Yeah. Agree. Agree. And I've actually kind of outgrown Tony. I've kind of evolved
Okay.
because then came the book The Secret, and I started getting into like I said, the law of attraction, and then I discovered Jack Canfield, Bob Proctor, like a bunch of other people that were in that book, and
I mean, I
then
don't know that book. So.
oh, it's a great book. It's just, what you focus on becomes your reality,
Yeah.
And so and then that opened doors to different things. And then Lewis Howes which is
I loved him about 10 years. Was it 5, 6, 7? He's been around a long time.
he's been around a while. He's young though. He's
Yeah.
like 40 something.
When he first came out, I was deep into podcasts, and he was one of the people that I
School of
listened to.
Greatness.
Is he
Yes.
still around?
Yeah, because I just saw him in September.
Okay.
Yeah.
You saw him?
Yes. Oh, I went to his conference in Los
really?
Angeles.
I never do that.
Oh, I do. I love those.
Been to a Tony Robbins conference?
3 times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You got to tell me about those. Like, did they really walk across the coals at
I
the end of
did.
that? You
So,
did?
I did.
How were your feet?
They were great.
How does that work?
It's mind over matter, really. I mean, you know, think about it. You can hold your finger over a flame,
Yes.
you know. So and here's the funny thing. So all these years, you know, I love Tony, listen to all this stuff, which, by the way, when my dad passed, remember infomercials at night, like 3 in the morning?
Yes.
Infomercials would come on. So at nighttime, my dad had just passed. I'm in a very dark place because I was very close to my dad. And this infomercial pops on. You know, I'm a single mom at this time. My kids are little, having to deal with a very not so nice ex-husband, okay? And so Tony pops on and he's talking about this CD series called Unleash the Power. And I'm like, well, I don't have any money, but I invested in it anyway. And that like instantly changed my life. Like I started listening to them every day when I would go on a walk. And just the things he said, my whole life I'd never heard about. I was brought up in a coal mining region in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and everybody's like negative and dark and like the cloud over their head and woe is me. This is like the future is positive. You can do something about your future. Take action. Become responsible for your actions. Don't get into the victim mindset and all that. It was wonderful. I like never heard that before.
So I had a similar experience of self-empowerment.
Yes.
That opportunity when whatever your experience is, meet something that opens your brain. Do you know what mine was?
What?
It was Ayn Rand.
It was what?
Ayn Rand. Do you know who that is?
No, who's that?
She's I mean, people that like her will say she's a philosopher, and people that don't will say she's a pseudo-philosopher.
Oh.
She wrote, like, in the 50s and 60s, a whole bunch of, like, articles.
Okay.
Basically dumping her thoughts on a subject, right? And then she put those articles into books. And so it's like, it's been so long since I read all of her stuff, and I read all of her stuff. You've obviously eaten up all the Tony Robbins stuff as well. And all
Yes.
that,
Oh, yes, yes.
yeah, so I tell you that not because Ayn Rand's important right now, but because I understand that you get to a point and you're like, this ain't working.
Right.
Or so like,
Right.
"Ah," and then you find something and it just lights a fire on you.
It was, look, I got goosebumps right now
Yeah.
thinking about it. And so,
So pleased you found that.
Yeah, same.
Everyone's thing they find is different, but I know exactly what you mean when you find it, and then it's just 3 years later. It's a process, it's a journey.
yes, yes.
But you just become a whole different person as a result of that mindset.
Yeah. And so my friend said, listen, I've been hearing you talk about Tony for years. When are you going to go to one of his conferences? And I'm like, oh, yeah. So I looked up, he was coming to Orlando, and it was the Unleash the Power Within.
Isn't that
And
like a multi-day thing?
it is. It's a like a 4-day intensive, I think 3 or 4 days. And look, it's crazy. The first day, he has you already envisioning walking on the coals, you know? And I thought to myself, that's so stupid. I'm not doing that. By the end of the night, I couldn't wait to get on those coals.
Really?
Because you visualize. And I know it sounds silly.
No, it's like it's trying to talk your neurology into a
Yes.
thing, which is why I'm interested, because I live in a world where you step on hot things, they burn your feet.
Right,
So there's a disconnect there that I'm interested to get at.
And what's beautiful about the ending of it, after you do it, you're breaking limitations that you've told yourself you can never do, you know? So, you walk across the coals, your feet don't burn. You're like, wow, that's amazing. And then like a year later, you're like, I could never become a millionaire. Yeah, but you said you couldn't walk on coals either.
Sure.
Breaks that limitation mindset, And so
Do you think anything is possible?
I do.
Do you think you are capable of anything?
Jay Shetty said a goldfish can dream and want to be something, but unfortunately it can't be everything.
Sure.
So there's limitations.
It doesn't know it lives in water.
There are, exactly. Yeah. So, but Bob Proctor said, if you can think it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
I like that. That's potentially true.
And so I think for everybody's, of course, unique and individual. So not everybody's going to have the same desires, dreams, wants. And so, but I do believe if a seed is planted in your brain, it's for a reason. And then you have the capability to make that a reality.
So I believe that I had an epiphany.
Okay.
This year has been interesting for me, and
Really?
I've had to do a lot of introspection professionally and always personally. I mean, we're all growing. If you're not growing,
Yes,
you're dying, right?
exactly.
And so I've been thinking a lot and chatting to AI a lot.
Same.
We'll get to that in a second.
My BFF.
Right. It's not my BFF right now. I'm trying to figure out
sorry.
what it is. But
Yeah.
so I believe that I noticed that things that come of my thinking, like product, services, ideas,
Yes.
I realize they start like if where you want to be is here,
Right.
and you're trying to plan out how to get there, you forget that the start point is here and you're here. And the reason you're here is because all the stuff that makes you think the way you think. And I realized, oh, so everything starts here. I need to maybe see if I can think myself out of my own experience, because if you start here, the places you potentially end up are that much more vast. There's more options.
Right.
Like we are definitely a limiting factor in our projection for sure.
Absolutely. And just as an example, so after that firewalk experience with Tony Robbins,
And just so we're clear, you did that.
I did do that. Yes, I did do it. I loved it.
Okay.
And
You might be the first person I actually can, like, you did that. Good.
yeah, did that.
Okay, touch it now.
Yeah.
I made the connection too.
Yes. So after that, of course, Tony would be promoting his other conferences.
Sure.
And that. So I heard about the Business Mastery Conference, and this was back in maybe 14, 15. And I wanted to go to the business conference so badly. At the time, it cost $10,000. So I put it on my vision board. And for years, I would look at it and one day, manifest it. If you hold it in your head, if you think it in your head, hold it in your hand. So then I thought, I would love to meet Tony one day and face to face. But at the time, to have a personal meeting with him was like $200,000.
Presidents of countries are doing this only.
Yeah. So he was having this rare meet and greet in Phoenix. And that was, I think, 2017, maybe. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it was very financially doable. So it's like, I'm going, right? And I went, and I couldn't wait to meet him. But of course, it was like a split-second meeting. It was like, and very regimental. It was like, take a step. You met him, and then you were gone. And it was so funny because I thought, I want to tell him, you inspired me. You changed my life. You inspired me to start my school. You inspired me to do this, this, and this. And when I got in his presence, he's like, what, 6'8", something like that. I looked up, I blacked out. And all I could say was, I love you, Tony. And I'm like drooling. He kissed me on the cheek, and next thing I was done.
Yeah.
And I was so sad because I was like, darn it, I didn't get an opportunity to say that to him, right? But then fast forward about 6 months, I was packing to go to a wedding conference in Vegas, and I was watching HSN. And I hear the announcer say, next we're going to have Tony Robbins promoting his book Unshakable. And I'm like, oh, yay, And then the announcer says, and if you have a testimony, call in. I'm like, I couldn't get to the phone fast enough, right? So I'm waiting, watching the show. I'm pacing. An hour goes by. The producers get on the phone. They're like, we're sorry. We're out of time. Tell me your backstory. The producer said, call us back at 2 a.m. I'm like, okay. I'm like wide awake. 2 a.m. comes, I get to the phone.
Your kids are like, oh, mom again.
They were sleeping. And so 2 a.m. I called, waited, and then I got to talk to him. Finally, I heard the guy say, next we have Allie from Baton Rouge. I was like, and I'm screaming in the phone. And I'm like, oh, and it's like 2 a.m. I'm like, good morning, Tony. And he's like, oh my gosh. He goes, I can't believe you have this much energy. You know, and I said, I'm a night owl, but I'm so excited to talk to you.
Sure.
And I was able to tell him everything.
And how did he respond?
He was so gracious. And I was able to tell him, you know, I'd go on road trips and, you know, drive to Florida and I'd stick your CDs in. My kids would say, Mom, we got to listen to Tony again. Yeah. I'm like, absolutely. And I'd listen to him. I told him about my hour of power. And he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, this is so beautiful. He's like, and then I told him about how he inspired me to start my school. And that every beginning of my sessions, like I do it once a year, they get to see the video clip, you know, or that I tell them, you know, Tony Robbins was a big influence in my life. It's because of him that you're here today. And when he heard that, he goes, not only do you help couples with their peak experience, you've taught and trained over 800 people. That was at the time. And I said, yeah. He goes, this is awesome. He goes, you know what? I'm sending you to Business Mastery. He goes, as my gift. Oh. And there was my manifestation, became a reality.
It's one of those many moments in life where you sit back and you just or let the all wash over you.
Yes.
Someone's up there. Someone's planning something.
Yes. And so now, and thankfully I videotaped it. So before every class now, I show them the videotape of our interaction. And I tell them, you're here because of Tony.
So you have a school?
I do. I do. I have a school. I've been teaching.
You're like what's that Dulceki man? The world's most interesting woman.
Oh, I wish.
You have a school.
I have a school. So I started it in I think it was 2005. Mm-hmm. I had this listening to the tapes. I had a thought like, wow, you know, so many people have been coming to me, and this is so funny. Remember the movie The Wedding Planner with Jennifer Lopez? Yeah. I was getting calls upon calls of students from LSU, Southeastern and Southern, saying, Miss Allie, I want to do what you do. Yeah. You know, so wedding planning became very popular. And I'm like, you know, I really need to have some team members. And remember the wedding I told you that I loved so much from Nottoway? I had 2 people help me with that wedding because it was such a big wedding. But I also learned that those girls needed to be trained. Because they were so traumatized by all the stuff that was going on that I still think they're in a corner somewhere, sucking their thumb and saying, no more weddings. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I need to train people. Yeah. Because it's emotional, it's laborious, it's taxing. You have to emotionally prepare people for what's going to happen the day of.
So you started your own school.
So I started my own school. And it's an 8-week session. We do it every February. And we meet in my studio. And it's 6 to 8 for 8 weeks, and they learn everything they need to know.
How cool! Where can folks go if they want to know about that?
To my website, weddingsbyalliellc.com.
Weddingsbyalliellc.com.
Yes.
So it's funny. I mean, I think you're awesome, and
you're awesome.
One of the reasons I like this podcast is you don't have the chance to sit down ever, even with the people that you like most, and spend just 30 minutes catching up. And I can't believe all the stuff I didn't know about you. The whole Tony Robbins thing makes so much sense.
Does it? Yeah.
Now that it does, Yay. But I will tell you in closing that you've not been on set with me before.
No.
Because the only thing I refuse to do is wedding videos.
I
just will not. So I am en route to documentaries, and I came from news and stuff, and so I mean, some of the beautiful work is done by a bunch of wedding videography. Sure. What a beautiful moment to capture if you can capture it well. Right. But I just thought it was kind of ironic that it's the one thing I don't do. So
listen, a lot of people share your sentiment.
I don't want to deal with that.
No, I know. I know.
You think being on film sets stressful? No, being on at the moment of I do on somebody else's wedding is probably more. Well, I don't know because I don't do it. All right, listen, my phone's blown up, so I'm going to end this. But I think you're beautiful.
I think you're beautiful too. Thank you so much for having me. Love you.
All right, bye.